Julie Winn, it has been, I was just thinking, we graduated in 1998 together. 25 years since I think I've even seen you or talked to you. It's incredible.
Wow.
I always say doing this podcast, I'm already winning because I get to catch up and meet so many people and see so many people. We probably would have never talked again if we weren't doing this.
I'm so glad you reached out. And, we've been Facebook friends for a long time. So I've been keeping up behind the screen with
a little Facebook stalking. Love it. And I think what drew me to you was reconnecting on the tick to the talk and your social media, which I think is epic. I think I've been trying to be more authentic, and I think you as well, and being ourselves. And everybody says that's what you need to do. And it's like, why is that so hard to do for us? Why is that, we can't just be normal and be ourselves and be vulnerable. And you do that so well, and you share about so many things. And I was just really drawn to you, and I think that's epic. So how did you get there with your social media? I guess, was this planned? Are you marketing? Tell us about your social media and what's your approach with that?
Well, my full-time day job is actually in social media.
Maybe she can help us.
Yes, there you go.
So my whole adult life, I've been running social media channels for businesses, nonprofits, social justice organizations. Have my own business, but currently I just have one client that I'm working with. But so that's kind of how I started doing communications and marketing, and kind of haven't really focused on myself, like marketing myself or sharing my story. And recently, I've gone through a lot, I feel like, especially in my 30s, some different challenging things that I just thought maybe sharing a little bit of my story could help other people. And a lot of the work that I've done in social media with social justice organizations and nonprofits has always been about helping people. That's kind of what I feel like my life passion is about. My life's work is about helping people. So yeah, I thought that sharing my own personal story could help people. So, and there's lots of different stories.
Yes, for sure.
Lots of different things that I talk about. Yeah.
And how do you get over that uncomfortable, uneasy, just being so vulnerable, I guess, or authentic? Because a lot of people, will do the filters and look at me on vacation, and that's not real life, right? And
I do a little bit of that too, for sure. Actually, I have a travel social media channel too. It's kind of like the typical Instagram, here I am in this national park. And so I actually like to do a little bit of that, but I do in my storytelling. I have to be authentic because it's my life. But there is some, nervousness, hesitation when telling some of my stories, because putting yourself out there, especially with, being a member of the LGBTQ community, there's a lot of hate and negativity out there. So putting myself out there and sharing some of my stories does make me a little bit of a target. And I have received, some hate messages online, but I try to focus on the positive and try to focus on the message that I want to convey to people, which is, uplifting and positive stories. And that's what I do. That's what I focus on. I try to keep it positive.
That's awesome. Do you get just as many positive responses back and feedback that way? Or is it mostly?
I think, actually definitely more. It's definitely more positive. But yeah, so the majority of comments and messages that I receive are overwhelmingly positive. So
that's good.
Yeah.
Good. We love it. Keep going. Keep doing what you're doing. You're inspiring. So don't listen to those keyboard warriors. It's such a fascinating social concept. The hate, where it's just gotta come from people that aren't comfortable with themselves or happy with their lives, and they're just want everybody
exactly.
To be miserable,
People
right?
project. Mm-hmm. People project their own insecurities, and I keep reminding myself too, some of the most wonderful, beautiful people, celebrities and stuff. It doesn't matter who you are. If you're if you have a platform and if you're talking about anything online, you're going to receive some negativity, some criticism, some haters. It doesn't matter. You can be the Dalai Lama, the most perfect person in the world, and you're going to receive something.
Just shut off the comments and keep going, right?
Yeah. And you can't make everyone happy. And I have heard that if you are stepping into your authentic self and sharing that and really putting it out there, you're definitely, like you're saying, you're going to have the haters and the people that love you. But that's actually a good thing, showing that you're attracting the people that you should be and repelling the people that aren't meant for you. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, get them out of there. One of the stories you share is with your dad and his journey with Parkinson's, which I can imagine that, and sharing it with the world, and maybe that helped you connect with other people and inspire them, and kind of, I don't know, what did you, I guess, what was your message, or what was your purpose with sharing that story? And you've done other work with Parkinson's too, you said, right?
Yeah, so that's actually my social media and communications work has actually led me to working with the World Parkinson Coalition. So that's who I'm currently working with. And since my father's Parkinson's diagnosis, which came later in life, which actually was attributed to his time in Vietnam, it was due to Agent Orange. So it's a direct correlation to the Agent Orange he was exposed to. But yeah, I just connected with this community, and Parkinson's is the fastest growing neurological condition in the world. So there's not a cure. There's a lot of medical advances that have happened in the last decade, but there still is not a cure. So there's still so much work to be done. And I just think it's important to raise awareness, especially if something, personally impacts you. And I saw firsthand how devastating Parkinson's disease can be to not only the person experiencing that illness, but the family and the friends and everybody who is affected by that. And so seeing my mother as the primary caretaker for my father was extremely challenging. And I think anybody who's been in a caretaker role knows exactly what that's like. Doesn't matter, every illness is different, but it's extremely difficult. And I ended up spending a lot of time with my parents before my father passed away last year, and helping out in that caretaker role, giving my mother a break. And it was exhausting. I cried. I couldn't sleep. It was difficult, very difficult. And so I think just raising awareness about the amazing roles that caretakers have, and Parkinson's disease is just something that needs, we need to shed more light on. So just sharing my story was something that I wanted to do.
And Parkinson's is a breakdown of the nerves, right? So you lose kind of almost control of your bodily movements.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
your brain and your thoughts and you're still there.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a movement disorder, but there is a lot to it. And everybody has different symptoms. So some people experience extreme tremors, others don't. Other people have problems with their speech and talking, freezing. So it's interesting because not everybody's symptoms.
And how do they directly correlate it to Agent Orange? That I didn't know that it could be an impact.
Yeah, they've been doing a lot of research, in the past 20 years on different type of chemicals that contribute to Parkinson's disease. And there's a number of different things that can contribute to Parkinson's disease. Genetics is one thing, but not everybody who has a family member who has Parkinson's gets it. And then other people get it from, pesticides and other chemicals. And so Agent Orange was one thing that they found has caused Parkinson's in a lot of people who were in Vietnam at that time. And my father received 100% disability from the VA because they were able to make a connection with his time in Vietnam and that. So
would you say that it is preventable in that I mean, if you have like a genetic vulnerability, but then maybe the environmental impacts, could you prevent it, or is that not?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't know, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, if your dad didn't go to
But
Vietnam, would he still have developed it?
yeah, I mean, and then there's just people who like have no idea. Like they have no idea how they got Parkinson's. And YOPD, young onset Parkinson's disease, is something a lot of folks don't know about. I didn't know until I worked with the Parkinson's community that people in their 20s can get Parkinson's. A lot of people think it's something that older people get, but yeah, young people can develop Parkinson's as well. So there's just a lot of mystery still to it, but there's a lot of amazing organizations out there that are doing great work to raise awareness and do more research around it. And that's actually what our organization, the World Parkinson Coalition, they have the only international forum that brings people from the Parkinson's community, nonprofits, researchers, scientists, doctors, nurses, rehab specialists, and people with Parkinson's all together under one roof and in a triennial conference. So it brings like the researchers and the people with Parkinson's disease together in the same room so they can work together. And it's been like a life-changing conference for many people. So lots of breakthroughs have happened and lots of medical and scientific connections have taken place just because of this conference.
Wow.
So
yeah, that sounds amazing. Get everybody together to really work on moving forward with it and helping the people that are impacted.
Yeah, one of the things we did with when we did a Love and Autism conference when I was in California, and it was just a conference about the researchers or doctors speaking about what autism it is and how they can correct it, but it was just purely autistic individuals sharing their experience, sharing what they needed, sharing their point of view, and it really was pretty powerful and really took off. And all the speakers were paid, and really just hearing what they had to say was so valuable versus a doctor, do in a lab telling you what it is and how to treat them.
Exactly. When you involve the people that are affected, the patients, the community itself, when they are part of it and their voices are heard, it makes all the difference.
Definitely.
I want to change the topic. So when I knew Julie, she's very quiet, very kind, very shy, and I would be very loud and joking. And now she's like this musician in front, singing on the guitar, playing in front of people. Tell me all about it. Like, that's incredible. What were you always a musician and like at home when you'd go practice and then you just were like, I'm awesome and share it with the world? Or how did you get into that?
So I used to sing like just in my room back in high school, and nobody knew I sang. And then in college, I got my first guitar and little keyboard, and I started writing songs and playing at the open mic in Burlington.
How did you take that first step? Because I've always wanted to do comedy, and she's like, go to an open mic. And I'm like, yeah. What got you to that open mic that night?
Well, we have a place in Burlington, Vermont, where I am. I'm called Radio Bean. And it's just a very inclusive opening space that actually still to this day, gosh, that was like 20, I can't even count right now, since like 24 years, 25 years, since I first did my, I know, I'm losing track. But since I first did my open mic, it's been that long, and they're still doing open mics to this day. And they don't, like a lot of venues, it's hard to get your foot in the door as a new musician. You have to have played some shows and have experience. And this place was just very, very welcoming, and they still are to musicians, and give everybody a stage. So that's where I started. And they have like a built-in crowd and a following of people that come every night and watch new musicians play. And so that's where I started. And I actually have a video that I came across, like a super old video. I recorded that night, my very first open mic. So cool. I have it on tape.
That's very cool.
It's on very old VHS. And yeah, and that's where I started. And I sounded terrible in the beginning, and just kept doing it. And I feel like my voice improved, all my skills improved, and I loved it. I loved it. And so over the years, I've recorded 2 full-length albums.
Wow.
And it's been very fun. I love making music. I don't do it as much as I would like to, but I still play.
Is this like a hobby, or is this a career? Are you making money? Are you doing shows? Or
I have made money.
Before a kid?
Before a kid, it was a career. My partner was in one of my bands. I've had a few different bands, and we played like, I think, 80 shows in a year. So around New England. And so, yeah, at this point, it's, I guess, not my main form of income, but I still do it, and I still have plans to record another album. So,
wow. Where can we find the albums? Are they out?
They're on iTunes and Amazon. I can send you the link.
Yes.
Everywhere where music is found and streamed.
Nice.
That's great.
Yeah.
What would you say to young upcoming musicians? Just get out there, put yourself out there, practice, or somebody thinking about it, or scared to go to that open mic. What advice would you give them?
Yeah, just do it. I think, it's easy to have all of these fears and worries, but if you just take that first step, it kind of all melts away eventually. But yeah, there's nothing to hold you back, nothing to fear. Just take the plunge and do it. Get to that first open mic.
Except for your own.
Do it, Brian.
Yeah.
Do it.
Thanks, Julie. I'll do it. I got plenty of jokes. She doesn't think I'm very funny, but I think they're funny. So who knows? That's all that matters. Once in a while, I'm funny. Tell me, you're living in Vermont. Did you know I almost went to Burlington, UVM?
No.
Oh, really?
Me and Brad almost went there, but he decided to go to PC. So then I was like, well, I'll just go to UMass because it's half the price, and it sounds like more partying there. But UVM is a good school. Tell me, what's the best part about living in Vermont?
The nature. I can walk outside my door and hop on a hiking path, like literally right over there. It's beautiful. There's so many amazing state parks and hikes and lakes and things to explore. I love the seasons. Being from New England, that's one thing I love. We're not winter people, so I'm not. I used to snowboard, so the winters are long, but I do appreciate all of the seasons. And I love the Burlington community. It's when I moved here, like one of the things that I fell in love with was the sense of community that people have here. Just like talking to your neighbors, and people are really involved in their local politics, and not that everyone has to even align on the same political spectrum, but people are just like involved and care. And we have our town meeting days, and our vote are the day that we go to vote and everything. Like all the schools and businesses are closed. It's like a holiday here.
Wow.
And I just think that's really important, and it just kind of speaks to the whole vibe of Vermont, like where people like are really passionate and care about what's going on.
That's cool. I've heard a lot of momentum about that being a holiday. Why not? Take the day off, voting day or whatever. And that's really important.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That sounds like an amazing place to live. We're in a small town now in Virginia. We just moved from California 2 years ago, and it's the small town vibe, saying hi to your neighbors, talking to neighbors, getting involved in the community. It's so valuable, and I never realized until being immersed in it. It's like, it's such a good feeling.
Yeah, it feels safe. It feels important. Mm-hmm. Like everybody's in the 4th of July parade in the town, and it's just like we always call it like a home. I feel like we're in a Hallmark movie. They have the Christmas tree lighting. Everybody goes and sings Christmas carols.
I love that. And you like run into people at the pharmacy or like we're at the grocery store, and
Yes.
I don't know. I like
The
that.
coolest story is somebody lost their dog, posted it on like the town group. Everybody was out there. I went out there for a couple hours looking. People had their drones up. This dog was out lost for like 3 or 4 days. People were like setting up feed stations. They found the dog, and everybody, the whole like town, like you could feel was like cheered. It was like the craziest, like cool experience. It was like, yeah, it's cool to live here. Yeah, for sure.
Where are you in Virginia?
So we are Western Loudoun. So I don't know what's.
It's called Lovettsville, and we're
Yes,
at about
we
an
love
hour
it in Lovettsville.
about an hour west of DC. So we're like
okay.
on the border of Maryland, Virginia, and West Virginia, all right in that little by like Harper's Ferry and where the Appalachian Trail is, and
Okay.
lots of nature and beauty around too, mountains.
I guess Ashburn would be the biggest.
Yeah, Virginia's like my second home.
Oh,
So-
okay. So do you know?
Are you been here? Or you?
Yeah,
Oh,
so
cool.
I lived in Virginia from 7 to 12 years old before I moved to New Hampshire, outside of DC in Fairfax
Oh, okay.
Station, and also lived in Springfield. And then my sister moved to Charlottesville, and my parents, my father with Parkinson's, after his health started declining, they moved to Charlottesville. So like the past couple years, I've been going to Charlottesville like every other month and have explored Richmond. And I don't know, I feel like I know the area pretty well.
Sounds like that. And your sister's still in Charlottesville?
Yeah, I love Charlottesville. It's
cool.
so beautiful.
How is she?
She's good.
We
She's got a little animal like rescue farm.
Oh, no way.
Like what are they called? It's not a working farm, but it's just like she rescues like goats, and
Oh my
she has a one-legged peacock, and
Oh my
now she has a
gosh.
one-legged rooster.
How do they get around?
Yeah. Yeah, it's
It's like that.
they're-
Is that what they do?
I don't know. The rooster just got amputated last week, so he's still learning how to walk on one leg. But it's so fun to go visit her farm. Like I absolutely love it. It's a 100-acre farm.
Whoa.
It's
Oh my gosh.
That's
pretty.
amazing. That's our
Yeah.
daughter's dream. She's 9 and she's already like saving for a
Saving money.
farm, and she wants to put baby goats in our garage right now, and
Yeah. Get a donkey and horses.
she's got big plans.
Yes.
Maybe we should send her down to Charlottesville.
Yeah.
I love it.
yeah.
That sounds epic. Good for her. That's awesome. You share about your journey with having a transgender spouse and your advocacy. And what do most people not understand about the community or transgender people?
So I feel like
It's a
not many people know somebody who's transgender. And I think once you know somebody who's transgender, your opinion changes. And I will admit that before my spouse, who was my husband and then transitioned to my wife, which was 10 years ago, we've been together. We just celebrated 21 years together.
Whoa.
Wow,
Congratulations.
congratulations.
Yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
Amazing.
we're together like 10 years as boyfriend, girlfriend, husband and wife, and then 10 years as wife and wife. And so before she came out, I was pretty naive to all sorts of things. And so I like to talk about it because I feel like, I was in a place of ignorance back then. And once I knew more, my whole perspective changed. And I feel like other people's perspective would change if they knew a little bit more about the trans community and had a little bit more empathy and insight into what people experience. And it's a lot. It's a lot. My wife went through so much, and being a supportive spouse was something that I didn't even question. It was just something I knew the path that I wanted to go and be there for her. And it's been great, and being a part of the queer community. And I don't know if I told you this, but I ran a support group for spouses of trans people in Burlington. I started the group, it was years ago, and I ran the group for like 5 years, which was so amazing. I met so many amazing people, and also meeting parents of trans kids and other family members, friends. and just allies who want to know more and learn more. So it's been really an amazing experience. But I have since kind of handed that off to somebody else because it was a lot of work. And now that group that started in Burlington, it's become kind of a national group. So it's online, and people from all over the country get support from that group now. So yeah, but I think basically the main thing I think is there's a lot of misinformation out there online. And I think, yeah, people just need a little bit more understanding and empathy.
Sure, of course, of course. You never thought about leaving. You were there committed. I mean, that says a lot.
The beginning was extremely difficult, and a lot of spouses, a lot of family members, parents, brothers, sisters go through what some people refer to as like the grieving process. But I know that a lot of trans people don't really prefer that reference.
Probably
because
a celebration process for them, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's tough for people to hear that it's, a grieving process. But I'm just saying that because that is, a spouse's experience. Anybody's experience is valid. And so what I felt was valid. And I did feel that in some ways in the beginning, just grieving what I thought, that this person was. And it was more a lot of the physical things that I was grieving. But yeah, and so in grieving, you go through like the different stages. Mm-hmm. And so you kind of go through that also, or similar stages through a transition. And so I experienced that, and it was difficult, but it was a couple years that were very difficult, but I always knew that I was going to stay because that was my person. Brenna is my soulmate, and I made a commitment when we got married, and that was just never going to change. So, and yeah, we just celebrated 21 years, which I think is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, that's for a lot of people, right? That's crazy. And then to face, a challenge and to go through that and come out stronger and better, I'm sure, for the experience. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, what was really difficult was back then. So this was, I'm trying to think the year, like 2013. There were not very many examples, like even the word transgender, it just wasn't in mainstream news. It wasn't talked about like it has been in just like the past few years.
Was that like
so there weren't
Bruce Jenner? Was that around the time?
That was later. That was like
after, right? Yeah.
Maybe I don't even know when that was. 2009, 2010. But so back then there were just no positive examples, especially of relationships that have survived this, because I don't even know. I've actually tried to research what the statistics are of couples that have survived a transition. I don't think there has been much research because I've looked into it, but I don't think
it's got to be. Pretty low. I'm just blown away. Like
it is. And so at the time there just weren't positive examples. So I was like reaching for anything I could find, and there were a few. And so I tried to connect online with a few of those positive examples. One was I found this video on Oprah back when Oprah had her show. And there was this New York Times author. She's a professor, I think at NYU, but Jenny Boylan. And Jenny Boylan and her wife, Dee Dee, were on Oprah talking about their experience transitioning, and Dee Dee as her wife who stayed with her through transition. And so I reached out to Jenny Boylan afterwards. And we ended up...
Tell me she responded.
Oh yeah, we ended up meeting her in person, and this was right at the start of Brenna's transition, and Brenna didn't know any trans people. We weren't really connected to the community here yet. And so Jenny Boylan took Brenna on a boat ride, and on Belgrade Lakes up in Maine. And Brenna just got to ask her like all of the questions she had about transitioning and this and that. And we got to have dinner with her and Dee Dee. And so it was just amazing having somebody to listen to and hear their positive experiences, and that there was a chance, that there was hope, because at the time there weren't any other examples. And so sharing my story, I know, there's so many other people going through this. I mean, that's evident from the support group that I ran, and the support group that continues to grow and grow and grow. I mean, there's so many other people that are in a similar boat, and it's not something that other people can understand. Like, it's very unique, a very unique situation. And so being able to provide support to other people and sharing my story I think it's extremely needed and crucial, especially in this time.
Yeah. Did you get a lot of feedback or pushback, or just just from your community that you were already involved in and your family, and what was that like?
Oh my gosh. So that was the hardest part, just coming out to people, because I knew I wanted to stay. And the biggest fear was, what are people going to think? Like, what are people going to think of me? And gosh, just starting to rip those Band-Aids off, like coming out to coworkers, coming out to neighbors, coming out to friends, coming out to each individual family member, because it's such a big thing, So like, I had to sit down with my parents in New Hampshire at their house and
how freaking
tell them my
conversation
house transitioning. And then we had to do it with Brenna's parents and our siblings. And
did you do it together, or did you go separately to your families?
We did. I went by myself for my parents because I didn't know how that was going to happen. And actually, they responded. They had actually just watched, I don't know if you remember the Katie Couric documentary it was like one of the biggest episodes about transgender people that was done. And they had watched it like 2 days before I came down there. So it was like perfect timing. I didn't know that. So they were like, oh my gosh, we just watched this on CBS and like learned all this stuff. So it went better than I had expected, which was the case with actually most of our family. And I was with Brenna when she came out to her parents. Gosh, it was so emotional because each and every person, I think, cried at different points. And, I felt like I had to have these one-on-one conversations, with my siblings, with Brenna's siblings, Brenna's daughter. I have a 25-year-old stepdaughter. So, yeah, it was just for years. I mean, this went on for the coming out process was like 2 years.
Oh,
that's
a lot.
Yeah.
And it was emotional. Yeah. It was difficult. But once I got over that, and once my fear of what are people going to think, once I just got over that, everything changed, And you can't control what other people think. You just can't. Other people are going to have their opinions, and usually if it's negative, it's coming from a place of their own insecurities. I truly believe that. So that's kind of how I even move forward to this day, is with this positive mindset. And I'm living my life, and I can't control what other people think. I can only control how we are. And
so we talk about it a lot, the growth mindset and being open and learning and curious. And I think people who have that closed mindset, think I'm right and you're wrong, and that has never been successful in anything, in any religion or race or whatever you're talking about. Just being curious and asking questions, and that's why we love doing this and hearing from you. Like, I'm learning right now, and this is great. And you have to have that to navigate this dynamic world and the differences between all of us and celebrate them. So I think that's
absolutely.
Yeah. Do you feel like your mindset shifted due to this, that whole process of coming out and having to kind of rip those Band-Aids off and kind of let down the mask or the shield or whatever maybe, or do you feel like you've always had that mindset of like, well, people are going to think what they're going to think, and it's, coming from their own insecurities if it's negative? Was there a shift in that for you, or has it always been like that?
I would say absolutely. I think I've always been a positive person. I've always been a glass half full, optimistic type of person. But my 30s really just dealt me a deck of cards that were, I feel like, challenge after challenge. And so I feel like I really had to have this positive growth mindset to get through all of these different challenges and to face the different adversity that I've felt in life, with this just being one thing. And not that this was a negative thing at all, but just, it was difficult. The experience was difficult. So just getting through these different challenges in my life. Absolutely. Yeah.
And if you believe in a higher power, higher authority, these challenges have made you who you are today and given you that growth, right? That you obviously could handle because you're here today and you're killing it. So rock and roll.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I could have made it without the mindset that I've had. Like, I don't know where I'd be.
Sure.
But
was your wife Brenna pre-transition? Tell me. I know you can't share their experience, but do you notice, or I guess what was it? What was that made them uncomfortable in their body, or whatever their experience was? And now, living as a female,
oh yeah,
is it a whole new life? It's a whole new,
yeah.
Or just, I guess, help me understand. I guess
it's night and day.
Yeah, pre and post. Yeah, like what is that?
It's night and day. So she had felt that she had been trapped in the wrong body since she was like 3 years old, like something she had felt early on, but she didn't realize she was trans until, like, just didn't put two and two together. Like, and a lot of trans people, this is a similar experience that other folks have, from what I understand, is that, there just weren't people on TV talking about it. There weren't all these examples. YouTube wasn't like it was. YouTube's pretty new. We didn't have social media back then. So it took a while for her to figure out that, I think this is, I might be transgender. And so that's why a lot of people ask, like, did I feel like she lied to me, but she really didn't know until she came out, like, that this was it. But I will say that, so depression is a huge thing with people who are transgender. Suicide rates are very high in people who are transgender. The statistics are like around, I think, 40% of people who attempt suicide, which is extremely high, way above the national average. So that was one of the things that I feared the most and, like, wanted to be supportive. One of the reasons why I wanted to be supportive, one of the many reasons. But so she definitely, she was sad. She was not happy. And I think that's the case for most people. You don't feel comfortable in your own body. I mean, I couldn't even fathom having that feeling and knowing that, and just knowing that who you are deep inside doesn't match the outside. So, as soon as she decided to transition and started doing the HRT, the hormone replacement therapy, things instantly changed. And I don't know, she just became happy. Not that she wasn't happy I mean, she was happy at times before, but it was just like this night and day change.
And
she just,
not like a like poor self-esteem or self-confidence where like I hate myself, I'm too fat. It's not that.
it's like everything connects, everything starts to align.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, that's like the most important thing someone can do for themselves is self-care and self-love and doing the things that you need to do to find that. So yeah, I think it's extremely brave what she did to get to this point. And she's a different person. I mean, she's the same person. She's got the same soul, but she's a much happier person. It's heartbreaking to see my own wife, what she goes through, and friends in the community, the daily attacks, and
this is still happening every day. The hate, and I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, to trans people everywhere.
Yeah. And
physical attacks. Yeah. It's scary, and it's a scary world we live in, and so
scary. Like, why the hell does it matter to somebody what somebody else is doing with their life? Like, as long as you're not hurting me, like, why is that even a thing, right? Like, you be happy, go. Like, whatever you want me to call you, happy to do it. Happy to respect your wishes. Whatever doesn't change my life, right? Like, I'm happy, you're happy. This is great. Like, why is that such a thing? Why is that so hard?
Yeah.
Being transgender is not hurting me. What do I care? I'm happy that you're happy. Actually, I'm actually more happier. I'd rather see more happy people. I don't know.
Yeah. We just need more understanding and empathy of what people are going.
Conversations too. Thanks for letting us be curious.
Yeah, thank
right?
you.
And
I
hope we don't putting you on the spot, but we are coming from a genuine place of curiosity because I don't think we do know any transgender.
I have met a few now teaching at the college, and every class.
But everybody's didn't an autistic person, one autistic person, one, we're all individuals too. So to group, I don't know. It's you can't generalize for. You met one person in class, one person in class, right?
Right, they're just another human being,
Yeah.
another individual.
That's all.
Yeah, and I just know because of the student questionnaire that I give, that's giving them the opportunity to change their name or change their pronouns or change, from being advised from my director, coming down of like giving them that private space to express that. And so, yeah, it's been enlightening, I think, to be able to get to know some of these students and just as another human being, but I feel for them, I feel for the struggle that they experience and Yeah.
And I don't know. It's interesting. I've had, more progressive friends and stuff who haven't been as supportive and don't understand what's happening. And then more conservative family that have been supportive. So I don't think there's I don't know, in terms of politics, I just think people need to just have more empathy for humans. Mm-hmm. Doesn't need to be this polarized.
Yeah, and get curious, right? Ask questions if you don't know, right?
Exactly.
Let's have a conversation.
And so I'm happy to talk about it.
I love it.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And I think empathy, that speaks to love and empathy, right? We all need more of that, and across the board, not just with this topic, but with every human being, right? And disabilities and anything that anybody's experiencing. Yeah, just having a little more empathy, a little more love, understanding.
Yeah, what's their perspective? Brenna, Jesus, going through hell. Wow, what you've been through. Incredible. You too. I mean, it's just so inspiring. Awesome.
Well, people are afraid of what they don't understand.
Right.
So.
That's right. I would agree.
And if we can have more conversations and help more people understand different point of views and
Podcast, the media is just skews that so crazy. You know, you get the headlines, and it's just people just see that, and then that's their view. It's whatever, you know. It's and it takes a lot of time, right, to really like get both sides and really learn and make a choice. Given, you know, people who are watching Fox are watching Fox. They're not, you know,
well, I was
CNN,
say
CNN,
that too.
right? Like they're not
what you're
watching
drawn,
both.
what you're drawn to, and then also how, you know, you talk about something, and then I did this the other day. I was talking about something, and I opened up my laptop, and there, when I opened Google, the first article for me to read happened to be exactly what we were experiencing. So it is skewed in that as well, no matter what you're choosing to watch, but also what's being presented to you on ads, you know, because it's...
And you watch YouTube or TikTok and you stop on one thing, that's all you're going to see. They're going to double down on that perspective on whatever you're watching. So you don't even get a choice to see the other side.
Other perspectives, yeah.
Right.
Unfortunate, yeah.
You want to talk about trigeminal neuralgia. Catherine's like, what is that? And from my understanding, what you said, it's the most painful potential disease. Like another thing, did this happen in your 30s too? Like,
yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I was diagnosed when I was 36. So a few years ago. It just kind of came out of nowhere. I started getting, so trigeminal neuralgia is chronic facial nerve pain that affects the trigeminal nerve that runs sensations from the face to the brain. Oh, wow. It's considered the most painful condition known to humans. Oh. On the Miguel pain scale, it rates above natural childbirth, which I've done.
Yes, me too.
This lady twice. All natural.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's worse than childbirth.
That was difficult.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
So it's worse than childbirth.
Yeah.
Where does this come from? Is it stress?
What?
Is it stress, or where does it come from?
Yeah, actually, I think stress is definitely a factor. But they were actually able to confirm through an MRI that I have a blood vessel that compresses against the nerve. So basically it's like kind of wrapped around it. And so there's no cure, but treatments include anti-seizure medication, which I'm on, which I'll probably be on for life. And then there's some invasive surgeries and radiation therapy. And most people end up having what's called MVD, microvascular decompression surgery, which is essentially brain surgery. So I'll eventually probably get that, but that's kind of my last. And some people actually have that procedure done a few times. And so it's progressive. It's a progressive condition that will get worse over time, which is really scary to think about. Actually, just after we just got back from vacation, like as we were in the airport coming back, I started to get a flare. So I was actually just over this past weekend, I had like 10 out of 10 pain. And I couldn't talk. I couldn't eat.
How long does that last?
Or
days?
Days. Oh. It can last week. And so basically it feels like I'm getting electrocuted. I've never been electrocuted, but I think that's probably what it's just like the nerve, like everything's going crazy inside my face. And it feels like some people, it feels like I'm just getting zapped, like I'm being electrocuted. Some people describe it as like a stabbing in the face or an ice pick, to the face. And so it drops me down to my knees. Like it's so bad. And then I can't eat. So over the weekend, I had to eat yogurt and applesauce, and even drinking water was painful. Anything that touches my lips, even doing this would send me into shocks. Yeah. My dog licked my face and it was oh my God. But so
during that time?
No.
No, heat or ice or massage?
Well, I mean, I do.
Yeah, super drugs.
Try that. I try everything.
Yeah.
I do have I take all the medication that I'm prescribed. Traditional pain medicine doesn't work on this type of nerve pain. So, and I'm in between getting a new neurologist at Dartmouth. So, but I can go down there for it's injections of lidocaine so they can numb the area, but that's only temporary. That lasts a couple days. So I might go there again if it acts up again, but we'll see. So it comes in waves. So luckily it's not like year round. And I feel like I still have a good quality of life, and I'm still able to work and travel. But there's a lot of people who have this condition that are on disability, that their pain is a lot worse. They have it, their flares come more regularly. So it's just something I'm just going to manage the rest of my life. And,
What would you do if you're driving or like in the middle of something that,
Is it a slow build up, or is it just like, boom, you're electrocuted?
it's a slow build. Like I can tell it's happening. Okay. So yeah. And I actually have gotten shocked a few times when I've been driving, and I've been able to get from point A to point B without crashing. So
wow. I can't even imagine.
Yeah. No, it's weird. It's a weird thing that I never expected I would have. I never even heard of it before. And usually like in the past, like when someone said I have chronic pain, I was always like, okay, like I don't even know what that means. Like, but now that I have it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have chronic pain, and it's really bad. Yeah. But yeah, and I was misdiagnosed for like a year. I went to because it almost feels like if you've had an infected tooth or like a root canal, it's like that, but all the time. So I was sent to the dentist like 3 different times first, and then an ENT because they thought it was like sinus infection. So it took a while before I got diagnosed from a neurologist. But yeah,
Is it
not fun.
I wonder if I get migraines, and like if I think I'm going to get a migraine, then sometimes I get a migraine. So it's like, it's almost fear. Like, I hope I don't get a migraine. I'm going into this client I'll be thinking about, and then I'll get one, and I'm like, it's almost like I did it to myself.
Right.
Do you ever have that experience? Oh, I hope I don't get it. I'm going on vacation. That would suck if it ruined my vacation, and maybe it comes. I don't know.
Kind of. I mean, so stress definitely triggers it. And I think sugar, it's because it's like the blood vessel, because the nerve is compressing on the blood vessel. I think like sugars and some foods, I think alcohol was like making it. And so it's connected with inflammation. And anyways, so yes, the answer is yes. I can kind of sense when things are maybe going to go south. Like after my father passed away from his Parkinson's disease, I was crying so much. So I was crying and I was stressed, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is like a perfect storm for a flare. And so the day after he passed, I had one of it was a pretty bad flare. And it's also connected to migraine. Like I also have migraines, which is like it's a separate thing, but doctors, actually the clinic that I go to at Dartmouth, it's the headache clinic at Dartmouth. So they work with people with migraines and trigeminal neuralgia. So there's a connection there.
I wonder if any research is being done on edibles or microdosing or any of that, like natural remedies to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's very helpful for people. And yeah, I do. I have a medical marijuana card. I'm a card carrying
member.
Yeah.
I'd imagine that would probably be the only thing that would really.
Yeah. And actually what helps, I don't know how much it helps, but I think it helps. But it's like a CBD cream that I just rub on my face, and it just seems to work. So
that's good.
I'm sorry to hear you have migraines, because that's awful. I hate migraines.
We both.
Do you get the auras or?
Yeah,
I do.
The vision. So that's the first thing. I'll not be able to see my vision. Like I'll be reading something and then I can't read it. It's like vision, and I know immediately it's happening. So if I chug 2 bottles of water and take medicine immediately, it's usually not terrible. But if I don't, it like lingers for like 2 or 3 days. It's gotten better though. It's definitely stress. I try to exercise a lot. It's probably some diet, but yeah, it's such a mystery. It's so weird that they don't even know.
It is weird.
Where does it come from? All right, I want to hear about this because this is important. You created a bill in Vermont, the first ever. Do you know this? The first ever for creating safer places for people with severe food allergies. Oh. Tell us about this bill and your another battle you face every day.
I know. Here's another battle.
More. Yeah. But I mean, most of us face little challenges. These are freaking huge battles on their own, right? Your son has severe allergic food allergies, and so you went to talk to Bernie, right? You called up Bernie and like, let's do this, and got a bill. Tell us about that.
Yes. So Bernie is my friend, by the way.
I know. I was being serious. I remember you taking pictures with you guys.
But he didn't help with this bill. So yeah, my kid is allergic to peanuts and sesame, and it's been extremely difficult, and it's a life and death situation, if he comes in contact with peanuts or sesame. So something that I just naturally had to advocate on from the get-go. And so this bill, unfortunately, this bill, I just found out, just died in session because the health committee can only take up so many bills every session. And this just didn't make the cut this year. But it's okay because I'm going to work on it next year. And I initially introduced this bill with my former state rep 4 years ago during COVID, or when was COVID? So it's like the very beginning of COVID.
How do you do that? You just like keep calling him and emailing and say, "Can I have a meeting with you?" Or like, how do you?
Yeah. So my state rep actually is a neighbor of mine, so
that helps.
So he walks in our neighborhood, and I also knew him from the arts community, and I'm actually kind of friends with a lot of state reps and political folks in Vermont. So anyways, I already kind of had that connection and met with him to tell him all about food allergies, which he knew nothing about. And so we referenced, there's already a similar bill that's been passed in Massachusetts and several other states. And so what this bill will do when it's passed eventually, it's a restaurant bill, and it basically asks every restaurant in the state to have like one manager, one person of contact to take this very inexpensive and easy training through the national nonprofit that educates on food allergies, which is the acronym is FARE, the Food Allergy Research and Education nonprofit. And so it's doing a program through them, and then they're supposed to train their staff on food allergies and cross-contamination, because as a food allergy family, eating out at restaurants is super scary. We've had some emergency hospital visits from reactions, and as a parent, it's like the scariest thing you could ever imagine. And
your kid is just swelling up and suddenly can't breathe, and you're just like full panic mode, I'd imagine. That's got to be scary.
Yeah. And yeah, it's something I get emotional when I talk about, just because I don't know.
Do you carry an EpiPen around, or?
Oh yeah, we carry an EpiPen everywhere. But eating out has always been scary. I mean, eating at home is scary too. But when I ask a server, like, can you please relay this information to the kitchen? Sometimes they're great about it, and sometimes they're like, oh, it's fine. And I don't even know if that communication is happening in the kitchen. And so anyways, this bill would just really educate restaurant staff on food allergies. And it's already happened. It's already passed. Like 10 years ago, they introduced this bill in Massachusetts. So basically the Vermont bill is mirroring the Massachusetts bill. And so this year we had my new state rep I met with, and we had 4 co-sponsors on the bill. So I was really excited. It looked really positive, but unfortunately I just have to work a little harder next year. And it's also taught me a lot about how difficult it is to get bills passed. For some reason, I thought it was like, you write this bill and...
Yeah, this makes sense. This is easy, right? Everybody wants to be safe, right? What's the big
No,
deal?
it's a big process. So, but I did learn a lot of lessons about the legislative process, and next year, I'm sure we'll get it through. Like with this bill and stuff, it's really like a nonpartisan issue. Like it affects everybody, or food allergies can affect everybody. Mm-hmm. And one of the points that I was also trying, like, it's not bad for business. It's, restaurants in Massachusetts are still thriving. Mm-hmm. So it's not a huge ask, but it makes all the difference to food allergy families. And there's all these people that are avoiding eating out at restaurants. And so it would actually be good for the Vermont economy and restaurant business, because there's 66,000 people in Vermont with food allergies, which is larger than the size of Burlington and South Burlington, the city that I live in, combined, which is huge. And so you'd have all of these people feeling more comfortable about eating out. So it's kind of a win-win situation, in my opinion.
Yeah, and for them, if somebody does come with food allergies, they're prepared so that they can safely respond. They're more aware of what could come up and what could happen. So yeah, I agree. Definitely a win-win. Yeah.
Julie, you totally rock. You're an inspiration.
Yes.
Keep going.
Thank you.
I'm definitely inspired by you, and and all what you've overcome is pretty awesome. And
thank you.
Keep going. Keep going. Well, thank you, Julie. Thanks for meeting. It's awesome to see you after. Let's not make it another 25 years. And where can people find you, connect with you, reach out? Instagram. What's your handle?
Yeah, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. I have music and art pages. So I'm also do digital art and photography. So I've got basically if you Google, you'll find.
Or if you want to send me, I can just put it in the show notes. All your handles. And how can people get more information and support Parkinson's or food allergies or any of that? You want to send me all that, and I'll put it in the notes.
Sounds good. I will do that.
Awesome.
All right.
Well, you rock. And
well, thank you both so much.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
It was really nice to meet you. It was nice to talk with you. So
thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
With all your endeavors.
All right. Take care. Bye. Bye-bye.